Welcome to the Senior Solutions Friday Agency Training Call. My name is Joe Johnson. I'm going to be your host today. I've got a special guest speaker on, Mr. Andreas from New Jersey, who's an agency manager with us. Andreas, go ahead and say hello there. Introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everybody.
Very good. So if you guys were on our call last week, obviously we get these calls recorded. Per Andreas's request, we did some training that I think was very helpful on IULs, just basically how to run a basic illustration. Who should you be presenting IULs to? What we're going to be talking about today is kind of a complementary product, which are really our annuities. Okay, there's a lot of different annuity companies out there. The biggest thing is really kind of understanding what an annuity is, how it can help your clients, how you can position yourself, and maybe who's a good candidate for an annuity, and maybe some prospecting tips. We can kind of talk to Andreas a little bit about that. He's been writing quite a few of annuities, and maybe Andreas, we could start there. You could tell us a little bit about how are you finding your annuity clients? Because you seem to be doing quite well finding people that actually have money to put into an annuity. Can you talk to us about that a little bit?
Yes, Joe, thank you for that. So my final expense clientele varies from 55, 57 to 78, 80 most. So the sweet spot for annuities, it's 60 to 65, maybe something like that, because the good thing is they're not gonna have to pay the penalty, 59.5, right, for any withdrawal. So how everything started was when I was visiting clients and I was helping them out with the final expense. The next question, or what happened one day, one client says to me, do you know anybody can do my retirement? And then I started thinking about that, right? And I wasn't licensed with annuities yet. So I got my license, and then I started using this question for the next client. And I said, do you have any money under the bed, in the bank, 401ks, anything like that? Mm-hmm. What do you have about the retirement? And Joe, F&G, the power accumulator, gives very good interest over there.
Yeah,
it's a strong product. It's a strong product over there. If you can imagine how much the banks give right now, 0.5, 0.8% interest, so I started asking questions like that. And most people, when they go to a house, they do the life insurance and they're leaving. But you can get another, income flow coming up from the same family to help them out with the retirement plan.
Right.
Okay, so only one client I had to do this. The referrals was coming left and right after that.
Right. Yeah, because once you start getting those annuities, the people because they're going to tell their friends and they're going to want to refer you. And if you've got a client that's got a little bit of money saved up, could be, retirement money, could be from an old 401k, could be, from an investment, whatever. But people like that typically know other people in a similar situation. You just get that, who else do you know? You get that referral ball. Right. You get that referral ball, really rolling. But you just got to get the ball started. And the key is that even though we're dealing with final expense clients, the key, Andreas, is that even if you think there's no way in hell this client has any money, get in the habit of asking everybody about their retirement, about, an old 401k, a CD, whatever it is, okay? Because I can help you improve your situation. And once you get in the habit of asking everybody, then it becomes easy. So a lot of times what agents will do, Andreas, is that they'll pick and choose who they're going to ask. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this client doesn't have money. Why even bother? But once you get yourself in a habit, it becomes a habit, and then you start asking everybody about their retirement and
Like I
about,
got 2 referrals today, Joe, from a
yeah.
lady I wrote last week. And then one question I'm asking everybody is who gonna be the next person is gonna get benefit out of that?
Mm-hmm. Good,
I,
good.
I never ask, do you know anybody else? Because I don't like to ask questions with a yes and no.
Yeah,
It's
say
like
that again. This is for getting referrals?
I'm asking who's gonna be the next person is gonna get benefit out of that. Most of the agents I have, they ask the questions, do you know anybody else? I never ask this question with a yes or no. You understand where I'm coming from? So I'm always asking, like, I give a value to the client. I say, you got a
Right.
benefit out of that. Who's going to be the next person who's going to get benefit out of that?
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's pretty clever. I like that. Um,
So,
well, before we jump into it and we start doing some illustrations, is there any other points that you want to talk about?
well, the illustration, thank God, I'm very impressed with the sales support with F&G. They helped
Mhm.
out a lot.
Yeah. Do
And
you have like one go-to person that you like talking to?
yeah, I have one which I'm stalking him every time I'm calling him
Is
because
it who is it?
he knows about my first name,
Who?
because I use Justin.
Oh, Justin. Okay. All right.
And
Yeah.
he helped out a lot. But now, after you do that for a while, like you do that every week, couple times a week, and everything becomes a habit. Plus,
Right.
you helped me out a lot, so I want to thank you for that too. So
Perfect. You know what? I try, man. Here's the thing. Um, I'm not an annuity expert, you know what I mean? But I know enough and I write my fair share of annuities. I lean, everything that I've learned about annuities, I really have learned from just asking the right questions, writing the annuities, getting with F&G, talking about the different products and and running illustrations. And once you do it, man, you do it a couple of times and it's always good to call and ask, make sure you're doing the right thing. But really the whole thing about the annuities, I'm just telling you, it's kind of like the IUL, is that the power of the annuity is the illustration.
right.
It's showing them that illustration. And one of the just, and I tell you what, we'll get into the illustration and I'll talk a little bit about some of the selling features of annuity. So let me log on. I
Other
don't
good thing about the annuity, Joe, is there's no health questions. I think
yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
there's
So
only suitability questions. There's no health questions. So I mean, you can have somebody that is not in great health and
right,
there's
because most people they're not qualified for IUL are turned to annuity.
yeah, yeah, very, very, very good point. All right, I'm gonna pause for a second. We'll click over, and then I'll start the recording back once we get that up. So we got that going. All right, Andreas, do you see, is the main screen, am I sharing my screen? You can see the F&G website there?
I don't. I see the senior solution agent training.
Oh, okay, I still have it paused. There you go. How about now?
Now,
Perfect. All right, guys, I am logged in to the F&G website. This is where you're going to want to go to get all the current rates and to run the illustrations. I think for most agents, one of the most complicated things, or I say complicated, one of the things that's most confusing to a lot of agents is number one is the product, okay? I think Andreas, for me anyway, my go-to annuity is the power accumulator. I mean, to me, that illustrates the best. It gets what most clients are most worried about is accumulation. Getting the max accumulation. Even if your client maybe is looking for income, you can still use the power accumulator to drive amazing income, which I will show you. Are most of the annuities that you're writing, are you utilizing the power accumulator or are you using a different one?
now the power accumulator, the 10.
Yeah, power
And
accumulator.
I tied this up with the Barclay, the 2 years participation.
Okay. We can take a look at that. We'll pick out, we'll do that. One thing that you can do is with an annuity. Annuity allows you as the agent to recommend different credit strategies, okay, which you can illustrate. The credit strategy is how the client's interest rate is going to be calculated at the end of the credit strategy period. And there's either a 1-year period or there's a 2-year period. The thing for clients, or for clients and for agents, what we need to understand is that the credit strategy is only a calculation to figure out how much interest they're going to get. Their money is not in the market. Okay, that's the biggest thing. We're not stockbrokers. We're not investors. Okay, we're not securities. We're not selling securities. So even though a client is putting their money into an annuity to get growth, the most important thing that you need to understand as an agent and the client needs to understand is that their money's not actually in the market. Okay, the F&G is utilizing that money and making different investments to hedge their investment, so they can still give the client a fair rate of return, but they're able to, over the long haul, the insurance company is making those investments to hedge the stock market or the S&P, to make sure that they're also making a spread as well. So I think that's the biggest kind of misconception for clients and for agents, is that even if you use the Barclay or the S&P 500 or a balanced portfolio, is at the end of the day, technically your client's money is not exposed to the market. And that's one of the huge selling points of an annuity, is that your client is able to get stock market like returns, but with downside protection. So the big selling point of the annuity is not just the cash accumulation, but it's also the safety and security, is that regardless, even if God forbid World War III breaks out, is that everything crashes or there's a recession for the next 5 years, is that their principal is protected, unlike the stock market. And that's one of the illustrations that you can do with your clients is about the power. I guess we did this training, we call it the power of zero, Andreas, and how powerful zero interest doesn't sound like a lot. Okay, it doesn't even sound good, but zero interest is a hell of a lot better than -20 or -50. And one illustration I'll do with a client, I'm like, let me just tell you how powerful not being able to go backwards is. And that is that, let's say you just had $100 in the stock market, and man, the stock market took a 50% hit. So how much money do you have left? I'd have 50 bucks. Okay. Well, even if the stock market recovered 50%, if it went back up 50%, you're still not getting back to where you were, because 50% of $50 is only $25. So if you lose 50%, and even if the stock market returns 100% of those gains and you get that 50% back, you're still only at $75. You have to recover twice as much. So if the stock market goes down 50%, you're going to have to recover, it's going to have to go back up 100% just to get to zero. The power of the indexed annuities and the power of using index strategy is that when the stock market goes up, your money goes up. But if it goes down and the markets are down, you take a zero interest, you stay level, you don't go backwards. And when it goes up, it's a ratcheting effect. And not only is your principal protected, but your interest is protected. All your gains, every time you get a gain, you get your interest credit at the end of a year or 2 years, depending on what interest strategy you're using. Your principal's locked in and your interest is locked in. You can never lose a penny in an index universal life. And I think for our clients, I mean, we're typically not dealing with with millionaires and billionaires. So having principal protection and safety, but still being able to get a great rate of return is important to those people. And one of the most simple questions you can ask, and like I said, we're not usually dealing with rich people. Our average annuity is that we write is somewhere between 50 to 75,000, but we do pop some big ones. Working on a case right now that's about 250,000. It's not a huge case, but still, I mean, 250,000. That's a pretty good chunk of money for a particular client. My question to the client, Andreas, was, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you've got this 250. It's in an old 401k. It's exposed to the market. Let me ask you just a straightforward question. How much can you afford of that 250? How much can you afford to lose? Well, you should have seen the look on there. I can't afford to lose anything. I said, then why do you have it in the market? How about if I show you a way to get stock market like returns, but with downside protection? Well, what do you mean? I can show you a product that I guarantee you will outperform the S&P 500, but you have a zero floor. You can never go backwards. Your principal's locked in and all your interest gains are locked in for the rest of your life. Do you want me to show you how it works? Yeah. What is it? So it's obviously an annuity. When you log into the F&G website, one of the things that you can do, if you want to see the different credit strategies and see what the different what the different rates, participation, spread, and fees, you can click right on rates, and it'll open up a let's see, okay, current rates for annuities. And right here, I'm going to scroll down to the product that we're going to be looking at, which is the power accumulator right here. This is it, the power accumulator. So these are all the different strategies that you can use. We're going to be looking at the 10-year. So you've got all these, this balance asset, point to point, 1 year point to point. And what that means is that they're going to take a look at that balance asset index, wherever it is on your client's anniversary date. So if the annuity goes into effect today, they're going to take a look at where is that fund a year from now. And if it's up 10%, then your client is going to participate in that gain. So just to give you some kind of different things that you want to look at. One is that with the credit strategies, there's something called a participation rate. There's something called a spread, and there's something called a fee. Most of the ones that we do are no charge. In other words, there's no fee to be into that fund. They're not going to charge them a fee. There are a couple of ones that do have a fee. No, I guess none of them do right now. Okay. And Andre, which is the one that you were saying that you, when you were doing the annuities, the credit strategy that you like?
The 2-year point-to-point spread in par.
But is it the is it the balance asset?
Yes.
Which one, the 10 or the 5?
10.
The 10. Okay.
I was looking for the long term.
Well, the balance, the 10 has nothing to do with the product. The 10 is that it's a balance between 10 different items versus 5. That's what that means. So what you can look at is the participation rates. As an example, this balance asset 10, if you do the 2-year point to point with spread and participation. So what that 185 means is that whatever that fund does, they're going to get an interest credit of 105%. The spread means is that they're going to, as an example, let's say that account went up 15%, just easy math, 15%. 5% means is that they're going to subtract 5% from the 15% that it grew. So now you're working with 10%. and 185% of 10, that means they would get 18.5% credit in that strategy. Okay, so here's all the different ones that you can look at. Some of the ones that I like this one right here, the balance asset 5, which is the 2-year point to point. Now this one does have a charge, but it's like 1.25%. I can show you a couple different funds and we can illustrate them, but it has a 305% participation rate, which is crazy. Okay, so it may be worth it for the client to pay like a small 1 to maybe a 1.25% fee to be able to get 300% return. So this is where, as an agent, if you're interested in what the different credit strategies, this is where you can go to see what the current interest rates are. My recommendation is, before you do an illustration, is get with me, get with Andreas, or get with F&G, and just kind of get yourself familiar, and I can help you put together the illustration. I don't want this part to like be overwhelming, but I just wanted to show you where you can go to get the current annuities. I think I logged out. Give me a second. My bad. Let me get logged back in real quick. I backed out too far, I think. I think I'm having some internet issues. All right, now we're going to run an illustration. Okay, so sales tools, you want to click right here where it says illustration. I'm going to start a new case. Here we go. Start a new case. I'm going to leave all the name blank. The client that I happen to be working with is currently 51. So I'm going to change that to 51. Male. One thing about annuities, whether you're a male or female, it really doesn't matter. They illustrate the same. It's not like life insurance. And then for the product, I'm going to change it from product type index universal life. I'm going to change it to fixed indexed annuity. I'm going to find a product. I'm going to scroll down to the power accumulator 10. There's a power accumulator 10. There's a power accumulator 7. The difference is that the accumulator 10 has a 10-year surrender schedule if your client wants to surrender the policy early. The 7 simply has a 7-year surrender policy or schedule. The power accumulator 10 is going to illustrate better and has different credit strategies than the 7, because now their money, they're kind of more obligated, if you will, to leave that money in there more long term. They've got an extra 3 years that they can use that money to invest. The thing about it is that what you need to understand is that with all the annuities, even though it's a 10-year surrender period, that doesn't mean that they can't access the money. They get 10% a year penalty-free withdrawals after year 1. So technically, if they wanted to pull the money out, they could start pulling out 10% every year. In 10 years, virtually have all their money out. Okay. What Andreas was talking about as far as penalties, if they're rolling over a qualified plan like a 401k, as an example, there are IRS penalties if you withdraw the qualified money before age 59 and a half. But if a client has an old, if they work somewhere and they have an old 401k, even though they're not 59 and a half, they can still roll it into an annuity. So you don't have to be 60 or 65 to buy an annuity. You can be any age. And there's a lot of people throughout the years that have switched jobs and either just left their 401k at their old company, or maybe they moved it into a Fidelity account, you can roll those at any time into an annuity.
Joe, I want
Yeah,
to ask something. Also, can they do Roth IRA contribution up to 7,000 per year?
yeah, you can do yes, there is an option to to turn the annuity basically into a Roth. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, or if they have a Roth IRA, you can roll a Roth IRA into basically, because an annuity is basically an IRA, but
Right.
you can roll it into to a to a Roth and
From
still get
qualify
that.
to qualify. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, there's not much we can't do with. You can basically roll any kind of money into an annuity, pretty much. Okay, so this is our product, the Power Accumulator 10. And we're just going to do some basic, some kind of basic illustrations. We're going to say, in the growth, whether you pick, when you're doing the illustration, whether you pick it as qualified or non-qualified, that really doesn't matter as far as the performance. I'm just going to put, since this one I know is qualified, I'm going to put qualified. My client's date of birth is 06/06/1971. I think I'm 51 years old. Lump sum was 253,000. There you go. Now it's going to ask me to pick my my credit strategies. You can kind of do it. You can pick between any of them. You can kind of do a blend. The most important thing is that when you get it all figured out, it equals 100%. So if you want to do 50 in one fund, 50 in another, or do 25, or 30, 30, 30, 10, whatever you want to do, as long as it equals 100%. Two of the ones that I really like, I'm just telling you the two at the bottom. This is the balance 5, the balance asset 5, 2-year point to point with participation and charge. So this one actually does have a small fee attached to it, but the participation rate is like 300% over the 2-year period. So if your client doesn't want a fee, there's certainly other things that we can do, but I'm just going to show you this one initially. And then I'm going to do the 1-year point to point with participation. Okay, we're just going to pick those two. We're not going to select any income right now. We're just going to see how this performs. So I picked those two credit strategies, and we're just going to run a quick illustration. It's as easy as that, guys. And what I would recommend as an agent, get on here, work with a bunch of different credit strategies, see which ones that you like, how they perform. Just before you write the annuity, make sure that you're getting with someone that knows what they're talking about here. So we're going to get to these are all the different credit strategies. So you can see I only picked two. I picked the blue and the yellow, the two down at the bottom. And it tells you what they are. This one is the current participation. The way it's illustrating, it's a 305% participation. That's the 2-year. The 1-year has a 240% participation, but it is costing the client a 1.5% fee in order to do that. So what that means is on 250,000 times 1.0125, it's costing them roughly about $3,000 a year to participate in that fund. Okay. If your client is totally against paying any fees, I'll show you some different credit strategies that you can do. But we're going to go ahead and roll to the current rates. Let's see, on page 7 is where you're going to get to the hypothetical aggregate summary of current rates. This is how the product is illustrating what's it currently performing now. So you can see my client, they put in $253 or $253,000. And you can see they've got 2 credit strategies. We're doing a 1 year. So you can see here after year 1, they got a 7% return. After 2 years, they got a 31% return, 14, 14, 4. Then it even throws in a 0 there just to say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I'm going to even show you is that in year 7 is that you're going to get a 0% interest. Even with that, after 10 years, that 253,000 grew to over $1 million. They're getting virtually 4 times their money back in just 10 years in this illustration. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this is an illustration. It's not guaranteed, but it's showing you based on past performance how that credit strategy has worked. So if it performs the same way it has over the last 10 years, this is the rate of return you could expect. The biggest thing that you need to let your clients know is that these credit strategies, you're not locked into them. We can get together and we can meet every year and we can change your credit strategies. We can look at, see, hey, well, maybe we want to diversify in different credit strategies. Okay, so it's not like they're, once they pick a credit strategy, they're stuck with it for 10 years. We can change it. And one of the things that you want to do as an agent, if you're selling annuities, is get in the habit of doing those annual returns. F&G, what you will receive in the mail about 30 days before your client's anniversary date, you'll start getting letters in the mail as an agent from F&G. And that's when you can start setting those appointments, and you can go out and meet with your client to see if you need to make any credit strategy changes, or maybe we just let it roll. We just keep it where it is. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to change the credit strategies to show. Let's say you have that client says, you know what, it looks good, Joe, but I want a no fee type of an annuity. Okay. Let's go back and let's pick 2 of the, actually, hang on. Let me rerun that illustration because I want to see the rates. One thing about when you run an illustration, it's going to show you all the current rates anyway, so you can kind of use that as a guideline. I forgot to take a look at it. Let me blow this up a little bit. All right, I want to look at this page right here. And I just want to see which ones, client doesn't want to pay any fees, which one has the highest participation. Here you go. This first one right here, this balance asset, this first one, 1 year point to point with participation, 0 charge. That's the guaranteed rate. We don't have to worry about that. It's currently at 175%, and there's no cap, there's no spread, and there's no fee, there's no charge. Okay, so that's a good one. And this other one right here, the lighter purple, that's the 2 year. So we're going to do the 2 purple ones. Does that sound good, Andreas? The first one and this one right here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Go down 7. Okay. So we're going to put 50% in here.
Yeah, that's why I usually do 50% of the
5, 6,
Barclay.
7. And then we'll do 50%. I believe it's this one. All right. And then we'll take out 0. Guys, don't let this part scare you or intimidate you. We're just having fun. Okay, no withdrawals. All right. Let's make sure I did the right ones that I wanted. I'm telling you, it's the illustration. You get this illustration in front of a client. Let the illustration sell the product for you. Okay, we're good. I got the two that I wanted, the light purple and the dark purple. Okay, the first one, that's the 1 year point to point. It's got 175% participation with no fees and no spread. And then the second one is a 2 year point to point. And just keep in mind that 2 year point to point means is that in that particular credit strategy, they're not going to get for 50% of their money, they're not going to get an interest credit for 2 years. That's why it's at 255%. I know it sounds like a lot, but that's because it's over a 2 year period, not a 1 year period. All right, now we want to scroll down to page 7, which is our current rates. And then we can see here a little bit less performance, but maybe our client would rather say, I'd rather do this versus having to pay, I'm against anything that's going to charge me a fee. Okay. Because if they're paying a fee and it doesn't perform as well, it could end up costing them more. But even in this one, you take a look at those two credit strategies that we just did, that 253,000 in just 10 years is going to grow to over $800,000 in money. Not quite 4 times their money, but more than 3 times their money. And if they let it keep sitting, let's say they let that sit age 52 and they want to start making withdrawals at age 65, man, it grew to $1,394,000 that they can start making distributions from, which I want to show you next. That's the next thing I want to do, Andreas, is just show how not only can you show the growth potential, but also how you can show that you can turn this into an income annuity as well. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover? What are some of the other selling points that I'm missing that we should talk about before we change the illustration?
No, you hit it on the spot.
Okay, all right.
Another thing I wanted to ask you is the 1035 exchange.
Yeah.
When we have a 1035 exchange from a cash value to cash value, there's no penalties or anything like that, right?
Well, you mean like from an IUL?
Yeah.
Well,
turn it to annuity.
there could be penalties. So most IULs have a 10-year surrender period. So yes, you can take money from an IUL and put it into an annuity, but the IUL product, most of them have a 10-year surrender period. But they could if they're going to surrender it, if they have an IUL that has cash value, and if they're not surrendering the policy, yeah, they can take money from the cash value of their IUL, move it into an annuity without paying any fees. They would only potentially have fees if they surrender the IUL.
Okay, perfect.
If they're within that, but every policy is a little bit different. But most IULs have roughly about a 10-year surrender schedule that not if you take money out, but if you actually surrender the policy, there could be a surrender charges with that. That there would be no way to even if you did a 1035 exchange, there's no way to get around that if that's built into the IUL contract. Okay, what are we going to do? All right. What my client was interested in is not only accumulation, but also income, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do this with income. So we're going to keep the two credit strategies the same because the client doesn't want to pay any fees. But what we're going to show is that we're going to do cash withdrawals, and these are actual withdrawals. These are not loans like what we were doing on the IUL. So there's a couple of different choices. You have free withdrawals, or just remember anything under 10% is a free withdrawal, okay? You can do schedule withdrawals. You can do withdrawals by percentage. I like the withdrawals by percentage. Sorry about that. I'm getting a spam call. So what I typically like doing on my annuities, if I'm going to show an income, is I'll do withdrawal by percentage. So I'll just click that. Then I'll decide with my client, Mr. and Mrs. Client, when do you want to start taking that income? Do you want to start taking it immediately, or would you rather have that nest egg build up a little bit? This particular client says, listen, Joe, I'm 51 years old. I'm almost 52. I plan on retiring at age 62. I want to take it at 62. So that would be in 10 years. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this schedule. I'm going to go out 10 years. Actually, I'm going to start it on the 11th year, age 61. And I'm going to simply put in the percentage. You can go up to 10% if you want to. Actually, at year 11, you could do as much as you wanted because you're already past the free withdrawals. The first 10 years of the annuity, the most that you can take out penalty free is 10%. After your client's been into it for 10 years, they can start making as much, they could surrender the annuity, they could roll it over to another annuity, they could start taking withdrawals, they could do anything they want. It's free money. Not tax free, but penalty free anyway. So this client wants to, what I'm going to recommend is that they take out no more than 7% a year. Okay. This way I figure at 7%, with the way the annuity is performing, even though they're taking out 7%, if we can still show them and get them a 10, 12% return, they're still making 3% on their money. So we're going to do, and you could do less. You could take it down to 3%, 5%. I just want to show an illustration. I want to give them different scenarios. So I did a 7%. The other cool thing about doing it as a percentage, and you'll see, is that it's almost like you're giving them an inflation rider for free. I'll show you how that works. Check this out, Andreas. You'll like this. So they put in the money, they let it sit for a while. I'll show you guys how in some cases this is even better than an income annuity. Just using the accumulator. And I'll explain why. Okay, credit strategies. All right, let's go to page 7. Okay, here we go. Client put in 253,000. They let it sit for 10 years. It grew to 846,000. Year 11, at age 62, they started taking out distributions. Look at this. Took out $59,000 as a distribution in year 11. 59,000 in retirement, that could go a long way. Now, one of the reasons why we're doing it at age 62 is because a lot of clients are in a position where they feel like they have to, or they feel like they're almost forced to take their Social Security at age 62 versus waiting until full Social Security, like age 65 or 67, where they could get a bigger percentage. What you can help clients do is actually bridge a gap, okay? Bridge a gap between and delay how soon they have to take Social Security. So with this client, by me providing an income with that initial balance, providing the client with an income of 59,000, they're then able to delay when they're going to get their Social Security. So maybe we can get them an extra 20 or 30% on their Social Security. They don't start taking it for later, they delay it. In addition to that, take a look at this, Andreas. Because we're taking out 7%, the interest on the annuity is that their cash value is still growing. Because the cash value is still growing and it's growing higher than what they're taking out, look what happens to their income. Now, the first year, they take a little bit of a dip. They went from 59,000. Year 2 is only 57, but because then that 2-year credit strategy popped, and their balance went up to 984,000. Now they can take out 67, then 68, then 72. Look at this. By the time they're 70 years old, Andreas, they're taking out $90,000 a year. Now they could make adjustments. They could slow that down, or they could speed that up if they wanted to. It's up to them. Again, once you start taking distributions, you're not forced to keep taking distribution. You can change it. You can lower the percentage. You can increase the percentage. And you really can't do that with an income annuity. An income annuity, there are annuities out there. F&G has one and it's a good one, but it's designed to give those clients like the safety and security of like a pension, where they're absolutely guaranteed to get this much money for the rest of their life. The downside with that type of annuity is that there really isn't that much growth potential. And more than likely, if a client takes an income annuity and they live to be 90 or 95, there's a good chance that their account value is going to go to zero. They won't have any money left. Now, because it is a lifetime income annuity, it will keep paying them an income for the rest of their life. But with the Power Accumulator 10, because the interest credits are so strong, you can really position, you can show them how not only can they get a lifetime income, but they can have a tremendous death benefit at the end. Hypothetically, let's say this client were to live until age 90 or 89. Let's just take a look at the numbers. Remember, they only put in 253,000. So if they were to live to, we'll go all the way, let's say to age 90. Okay, at age, well, if they make it, here, I'll just do this one because it's broken down. If they make it to age 91, look at this, Andreas. Based on those percentages, they would have taken out an income over $4 million in income. Plus, they still have a death benefit of almost $4 million. You add those two together, that's like $8 million that this annuity of income and accumulation that it's produced. Now that's a pretty strong, you're making a pretty strong case, man. This is a pretty strong illustration. Like I said, it really sells itself. So when I do an illustration, it's always good to show the accumulation. It's not a bad idea to show them making withdrawals too, because you can show them how they can make withdrawals from the annuity, but still their account balance still grows. So any thoughts or anything else that we want to maybe, because I do want to show it one other illustration, but did you have any comments on this illustration?
No.
Pretty cool,
That's
right?
strong.
Pretty cool, right? I
Yeah,
love
that's
it.
cool.
All right, so here's the other thing too. I'm going to show you how you can, if you ever have a client that's maybe looking at another company and they're more interested in an income, and maybe they've already reached distribution age. Remember, IULs serve two purposes. One is cash accumulation in death benefit. On your younger clients, we're typically showing IULs to show them that tax-free retirement, right? On older clients, if you're selling an IUL to someone who's in their 60s or 70s, chances are it's more for the death benefit, not necessarily the accumulation. On annuities are more for not only the accumulation, but the distribution. What you're going to find is that most of your annuity clients are going to be a little bit older, who have already gone through the accumulation stage. In other words, they've already accumulated the money. Now they're looking for potentially distribution. So if you ever get that client, and if you're in competition with another agent who's maybe showing your client an income annuity, I'm going to show you how you can use the Power Accumulator 10 to defeat it and actually illustrate something even better. So we're going to leave our credit strategies the same because we don't want any fees. We're going to do the balance asset 5, the 2-year, and the 1 year. Now this one actually says 2-year point-to-point with a spread and participation. Okay, but as of right now, the current rate, there is, even though it said there is a spread, there is no spread right now. Okay, it's a 0. The spread is 0, so it's like there's no spread. Oh, here's what I want to do. I want to change my client. I want to say I've got somebody who is already 2022 minus 65. Somebody born in 1957. So they're 65 years old. They've already accumulated. So this client's already accumulated their money. They're looking for they want to convert it in basically into a pension. Okay. You can actually do that with the power accumulator. What I'm going to recommend is that, and they don't have to, but actually with this product, I think they do. We're going to show how this can benefit our client is that they just need to let the money sit for just 1 year. Okay. Then they can start taking the distribution. Okay, we're going to do it withdrawals by percentage. Okay, annual. Click on details. Let's see here. Age 67. Okay, we need to clear. Cancel. Okay, give me 1 second. I think I need, let me run an illustration. I think I need to get this to kick in real quick. Just give me 1 second, guys. Case information. Mail, okay, 19, okay, it looks like it worked that time. Power accumulator. Let me change this to, let me change this to 0 real quick. Okay. All right, now here we go. Now I changed my age. I just had to get that to like reset here. So we're going to do it in year 2. And we're just going to start with 5.5% return. Okay, now we could potentially bump that up a little bit. We just want to be a little bit conservative on the percentage. If they just took out 5%, here's what I can tell you on most income annuities, the most you can take out is roughly about 5%. And if you want the inflation rider, you got to pay a fee to get the inflation rider. Here we don't have to pay a fee. Okay, let's get to page 7. Okay, here we go. We put in our money. We got the annuity got bumped up to 314,000. We're starting our distributions at age 67, and you can see here how it's almost like a built-in inflation rider. First year they take out $14,000 a year, then 17, then 18. Then by the time they're 75, they're already taking out $24,000 a year. So you can really kind of position yourself as this is almost like an immediate, or I'm sorry, like an income annuity. The benefit is that when you compare this to an income annuity, the income annuity is not going to have this account growth. In most cases, you're going to see in an income annuity, you're going to see the account growth start going zero, because in a lot of cases, they're actually taking out more money than the interest that they're gaining. This way, we can still get the client the high rate of return, and we create that arbitrage. We're earning 10%. We're only taking out 5.5%. We're still earning 4.5% on our money. That's why you still maintain this growth. So you can position yourself. You say, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I can show you, look, at age 85, you've already taken out, look at this, you've already taken out twice as much that you put in, but you still have almost $1 million in cash value that's there that you have access to, that if you need it. You could probably even do a little bit of a higher percentage depending on how old they are. If you have a client that's in their 70s, as an example, you may want to show something closer to like 7%. The younger they are, if they want to start income, we typically look at like a lower percent, like they want to start the income in their 60s. I like 5.5%. If they're in their closer to 70, maybe bump it up to like 6.5 or 7%. Because they have less time to live. So we want to get more of that money out as an income stream. But this is just kind of a basic of how annuity will work, how you can sell it. Even if they start taking income immediately, look at this at age, if they live to be 95, as an example, they would have taken out over $1.3 million in income and still have almost $2 million left as a death benefit to their beneficiaries. So with only $250,000, only $253,000 as an initial deposit in their annuity. So guys, don't be scared of annuities. Annuities are simple. You can see how easy they're illustrate. We will help you every step of the way. The important thing of an annuity is asking the questions. Here's what I can promise you. And Andreas, let me ask you this question. Have you ever had a client ask you, oh, Andreas, do you sell annuities?
No.
No, I haven't either. But I've sold millions of dollars worth of annuities. It's asking those questions. You're only going to find
part of the fact finding.
Part of the fact finding, man. And you're only going to find the money by asking the questions. Annuities are not scary. Annuities have I won't say annuities are a lot better than what they used to be. Some clients may relate annuities with a kind of a negative connotation. You know who doesn't like annuities? Stockbrokers. That's who doesn't. The only people out there that are really giving annuities a bad name are stockbrokers. Why? Because we're protecting, because it's less money that the investor, the securities agent has to invest, where we can give our clients similar returns. And it's a proven fact that the index strategies have outperformed the S&P 500. Plus, at the same time, our clients have safety and security. So if you ever get a client, and I've had clients, oh, I've heard annuities are not that great, and I said, well, who'd you hear that from? A stockbroker? Because that's the only person that doesn't like annuities, because because the stockbroker's making money every time you make a trade. They're getting paid a fee, 1.5%, 2% fee on your whole bushel of money. They don't like annuities because they don't make money on them. You're not paying. There's no commissions. You're not paying fees out of your proceeds. Yes, the agents, yes, I get paid a commission, but from the insurance company, not from your account. That's in you got to start the conversation with your clients. But I mean, that's what I wanted to show you guys in a nutshell is don't be intimidated, don't be scared. Annuities are not something scary. You don't need to be an annuity expert to sell an annuity. You just need to find the money. We will help sell it. Myself, Andreas, we can do a Zoom call with your client. We can do just like I'm doing an illustration, I can do an illustration on a Zoom or a webinar. It's easy. I can help you sell the annuity. And Andreas, we've done that. You've called me.
Yep.
How many times have you called me when you're in the home and you're trying to sell an annuity and we're on the phone doing a three-way, or not, I guess not a three-way call because you're with the client,
On the speakerphone.
and I help you close it.
Yeah, within 2 minutes you had the illustration ready.
Exactly, dude. Illustrations they're easy. So with that, anything else that you'd like to?
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
All right, man. We're getting this recorded. We'll make sure that your sales team has access to it. And Andreas, any of your sales guys, if they, I know you're teaching them how to ask the questions, how to find the money. If I can help in any way and help run illustrations, or if we need to do a separate training just for your team, let me know. I'll be more than happy to do it.
Perfect. I really appreciate that.
All right, buddy. Well, I appreciate you, man. All right, guys, that's going to end our call. So have a great weekend. If you need me, you know how to get a hold of me. Just give me a call. So, all right, everybody. Thanks, Andreas. Thanks for everything, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
you. Appreciate your business.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye.